series hosted by Managed Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship. Myself, Dr. Rahalya. I'm working as Managed Fellow. So before going to the session, let me give a short introduction about our center. So this Saturday webinar series has been the forefront of this mission, hosting 271 consecutive weekly webinars that have inspired and empowered agripreneurs across the country. This year marks 6 years of Manicia's remarkable journey in nurturing innovation and entrepreneurship in India's agriculture. So through these sessions, we have reached more than 50,000 participants and have been privileged to learn from more than 500 expert speakers who have guided, mentored, and transformed countless agricultural ventures. So our center has been the cradle of innovation for 1,100 entrepreneurs and nurturing their dreams, transforming them into viable enterprises. We take immense pride in supported 562 startups across diverse agriculture sectors, each contributing to the transformation of India's agriculture ecosystem. And along with this, we are also offering the expert guidance and training in crucial areas such as agro-processing, post-harvest technologies, value addition, farm mechanization, animal husbandry, fishery, dairy, commodity trading, supply chain management, and agri consultancy, ensuring that our entrepreneurs are equipped to tackle every challenges in their journey. In today's session, we are going to focus on theme called Collaborative Advantage, the benefits of agri-startups and the corporate partnerships. It is honor to introduce our speakers for today's session. And to invite our first speaker, I would like to call our managed intern to introduce the first speaker.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm Subhashni from Team Manage CAA. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Sachin Farfad Patel, founder of Gram IQ, a seasoned entrepreneur with 12 years of experience across IT services, education, startup, and development sector. He brings a strong blend of technology, social impact, leadership, and grassroots problem solving, contributing meaningful to India's agri-tech ecosystem. In 2023, he founded Gram IQ, an award-winning agri-tech startup focused on empowering small and medium-scale farmers as farm pruners through simple, accessible digital tools delivered via WhatsApp. A Cornell Maha 60 Accelerate Program alumnus, Sachin has led impactful initiatives in collaboration with organizations such as Government of India, PMUA, Google India, HCL, and Pratham Education, and previously worked with institutions including HCL Technologies, IIM, Nagpur, and IIT Jobs. His work has received national and global recognition, reflecting his commitment to scalable rural innovation, entrepreneurship, and sustainable agriculture development. With a short introduction, I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Sachin Farfad, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. Very warm good morning to everybody. This is a winter time and good mornings, mornings are little slow. I'm based in Nagpur. It's quite cold here. I guess similar temperature in Hyderabad as well. So once again, very good morning. Let me share my screen and somebody can confirm me if my screen is visible. Once I get a confirmation, I can start.
Yes, sir, visible.
It's visible, right? So today is a very interesting topic in the hands, that is collaborative advantages for the agri startups or corporate partnerships. And I guess many times when a startup or an entrepreneurship comes into picture, we often talk about the competition, but we forget to talk about the partnerships and collaborations. Somebody in the very beginning of my career, when I started kind of learning startup per se or learning entrepreneur per se, they said there is no one a competitor in the market. Everybody is kind of a collaborator or a partner for you, right? If you consider so, right? So often we keeps on adding and thinking a lot about, yeah, he's my competitor, that person is competitor, this company is a competitor, right? And also an investor also asks, makes that competitive slide or a competitor comparison takes and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, nobody asks us, can you make a partnership deck or a partnership slide in your pitch deck, right? I'm very happy that Manage has taken this topic today as part of entrepreneurship awareness and entrepreneurship training in the Saturday webinar series. I also like to congratulate team Manage to kind of consecutively doing without fail these Saturday webinars. I see I was used to be an attendee in 2022 to 23 when I started indulging into agri-tech startup. I guess that was my first exposure to understand agriculture from this Saturday webinar series. I used to be participant almost every Saturday webinars. I was also in part of RKVY-RAFTAAR cohort 9 alums with the manage, where we got an RKVY-RAFTAAR grant with the help of manage Hyderabad. But then since then, right, I can see it from last 3 years. But I guess that has started many more years before, right? 270, right? It is almost 5 to 6 years. So many congratulations to Sarvanand sir and team and everybody, right? People might getting changed, but the enthusiasm, spirit, and the consistency on the webinar series and different activities from the managed side has been consistent and has been with the same into, right? So hats off to the kind of a structured and the ecosystem managers set up around each and every activities, and that's what we needed. That's also a learning lesson for the startups over here or the entrepreneurs over here. We need to put up a structure. We cannot. It should not be an human dependent or a person dependent process. It should be an independent processes, right? No matter whether you are going to be there or any of your team member going to be there, but show must go on, right? And that's an living example of this webinar series has been living example of that, right? And that's also helping a lot of startups or the expert to kind of collaborate with the different startups, right? So that's also an important part. Today's topic about related to collaboration and the partnerships, right? And due to these sessions, a lot of people get connected with that particular expert or that startup and then kind of sees the synergies, right? So that this collaboration is happening right here from this dais itself. So big congratulations on that as well. So let me quickly give an introduction of what as in like GramIQ does. We are basically a data platform, AI powered data platform, help small and medium sized farmers across India to manage their farm finances. It's basically a khata book or a tally for the farmers. They can record, reflect on the farm finances. Through that first party data, it generates a lot of insights for them to optimize their farming in terms of how they optimize their cost, how they optimize their income, when to sell their produces, and so on and so forth. And everything happens on a WhatsApp chatbot currently. At the same time, we work with agriculture input organization, agri mechanization organizations, and agri startups to help reach them to the right set of farmers. So we are kind of a marketing platform for them. To give an quick example of that, it's a LinkedIn or a Instagram for the agriculture, where farmers or end users like us use LinkedIn and Instagram for the free of cost. But then advertisers and the marketers comes on a platform and do a precise targeting to the farmers, right, and to the end user, different on the basis of different filtrations like who is growing which crop, how many acres, which regions, and so on and so forth. Right? So that's the idea we are have started with, and in this journey we really saw this is not the one person's game, right? Or this is not a one company's one startup who can really make or break the things. You need a lot of partners on the go to kind of collaborate, kind of see synergies between, kind of see win-win situations for each other, and scale the operations, scale the outreach, get more and more farmers, right? Without one, this cannot be done. And I guess that's what I'm going to talk in the next couple of minutes. My fellow speaker, we're going to go in depth of how agriculture partnerships are going to look like. But however, I'm going to touch high level why partnerships are important, what kind of a partnership does exist in the current scenario. What are the popular examples of that? What are the examples related to agri and so on and so forth, and how it is working with the GramIQ? That will be going to be in my next 8 to 10 minutes of discussions, right? So whenever you look for partners, it is always with the needs, right? There is a famous saying, right? innovation is a necessity of needs, right? Similarly, whenever you does the partnership, it is always an hidden needs of each other in that particular relationship or a partnership, right? There are some very natural or organic partnerships we does without seeing it as in partners, but they are actually our partners. For example, whenever you start a business, you need a chartered accountant, right? So they are also your partners to help you formalize your companies, manage your finances, do audits, do a filing, compliances, and so on and so forth. You also open up a bank account, so bankers becomes your another partners. But we often miss that they are not your partners; they are just an extended vendors or service providers, right? But they are actually your partners, right? Similar way, wherever we does these partnerships, we found this three particular reasons or kind of elements or pillars to kind of go ahead with the partnership. That is, what is the shared goal, right? We come along or we join hands. What is going to be our mutual goals going to be, right? What is that we are going to achieve with these partnerships or relationships we are coming up with, right? If we come along, what is going to be our combined strength, right? So for example, one person is really good in, let's say, sales and distribution. However, other person is very good with the R&D and product development, right? So one company has the very strong product development and research, which farmer needs or any other end user needs, but the other company has that sales and distribution network, right? Combined together, they can actually take the good innovation or a good product to a larger audience, right? Without they coming together, probably that is not possible because everybody has their own strength, right? Likewise, companies also has their own strength. Somebody is good in the R&D or product development, somebody is good in the sales and marketing, right? So what is going to be in your common strength when you join hands together, right? That's another factor we really look at, or we should look at whenever we. And then third, whenever we come together with the common strength, what is going to be a growth horizon for us, right? What is going to be in work? If I market myself alone against or vis-a-vis, if I join hands with company A, who is having good sales and distribution network, what is going to be a different growth and what they will be going to get out of it and what I will be going to get out of it, right? That's a mutual growth aspects which we'll look at, right? So although it is two different entities, but the mission is always the shared mission or the common mission which we comes along, right? So these are some types of partnerships I would like to touch based upon to see as in like to fit into the template, right? While you do partnership, there is no names as such. You see a synergy in between and then you fit in. But these are the kind of famous examples or types of partnerships exist there, right? So one is then strategic alliances, where company A versus company B or enterprise A versus enterprise D has different strength altogether. The classic example is Microsoft is an engineering or a IT company, vis-a-vis Bayer is an agri input or a agrochemical company, right? Coming together to kind of achieve some other common goal, like how do we view or visualize the farmlands across the globe where we see the demands and stuffs in picture, right? So that's kind of an strategic alliances, very common in the I will give some popular and recently well-known examples in the next slides. The other type of partnerships go-to-market strategy, right? In the go-to-market, you always need someone, right? So for example, we are based out of Maharashtra and you are doing business from Rajasthan or maybe from Andhra. Andhra, you have a good presence, or Telangana, you have a good presence, but you do not have a presence in Maharashtra. So you are looking for somebody who can help you take your product services in Maharashtra, right? Or that particular region, right? That's part of your go-to-market strategy. Sometimes the earlier example I had given is you have a product services, but you do not have a sales and distribution network. So you are tying up with somebody, right? So many a times the D2C brands or the Amazon sellers, right? So Amazon has a wide range of users buying different things on their platform, and we as a seller sign up on that platform and kind of we use Amazon as a go-to-market strategy, right? Similarly, in agri-tech space, Mahindra tie-ups with a lot of dealership network. That's their go-to-market strategy. So they partner with the local dealers and distributors to sell their tractors. They do not sell directly to the farmers, right? Similarly, all other agri inputs also typically been sold by the dealership networks as well. So they are going to be in partners. So it's called go-to-market partnerships, right? For the product, because companies' inputs like Mahindra Tractor Strength is building state-of-the-art engines and the tractors which farmers need to solve their labor problems and their agriculture help in their agriculture, right? However, selling and distribution, they are using extended partners because they had to reach the maximum audience and in the very short period of time. So they created a local entrepreneurs called dealers and distributors, right? There are partnerships like technology licensing and embedded partnerships as well. Embedded technology partnerships. Classic example in agri-tech spaces, you might be knowing company called Cropping. Those who does satellite image processing and understand what kind of crops are growing there, what are the harvesting stages are, what is the land covered in the agriculture, so that agri input companies can plan their marketing, plan their sales and distribution better in those particular region, wherever they see the density of those particular farms where or the crops where their solutions are more suitable for, right? So that's an licensing partners. While doing business, we often use company branded emails. For example, my email is sachin@gramiq.ai, which is been provided by the Microsoft, right? So I am using Microsoft license to kind of use those license, right? So that's also some partnerships. If my mail goes down, my communication networks goes down, right? So that they are a very, very important partner in my journey of doing business, right? Third, you also does the reseller or white label partnerships where you have a solution, but then you white label that for the businesses or the extended partners you are working with, and they kind of resell on behalf of you, right? You become the owner of the product, but then they white label and they sell it from their name. Many a times, all of these farm management tools, which most of the agri enterprises are using nowadays, has been built by these IT services companies like TCS, Infosys, SCLs of the world, right? So they get it built from them, white labeled it on their name, and then they further disseminate or resell to their customers. Very, I guess, well-known example. I'm not getting anyone, but if you have any white label partnerships or a reseller partnerships example, you can put it in the chat and we can touch base to that later on, right? Then last is the impact and the commercialization partnerships. So Manage and the startup has that partnership. So Manage is more concerned about doing impact in the agri startup ecosystem, while we as an agri startups wants to commercialize our solutions, right? Similarly, NABARD also wants to impact in the rural economies, where they tie up with the startups to kind of commercialize their product, handle them and mentor them and so on and so stuff, right? So in the so very popular example of the strategic alliances in the early beginning or the mid of the year, you might have saw that all the Airtel users are going to get the Perpetuity AI subscription free of cost for the 12 months, right? You've seen that news, right? So why it happened, right? That's a strategic technology partnerships which Airtel and Perpetuity has done. Perpetuity has very awesome generative AI tool where you can prompt and get an answer. Very good for the research. Very big competitor to ChatGPT. They saw an opportunity. Airtel has more than like 15 to 20 CR or 30 CR customers all across India, and that can become their very good distribution channel of their technology. So they co-branded this program of 12 months giving subscriptions free of cost to the Airtel users, right? That's a very popular partnerships example I can see happened in 2025. The other example is also Jio Hotstar, where earlier it used to be a Disney Hotstar, but then it's kind of acquired or merged with Jio, and it became the Jio Hotstar to become the OTT powerhouse in India, covering sports, entertainment, and the local content at one single platform. There is no other OTT platforms where you get a sports as well, you get a local new regional TVs as well, and the web series and all of that. Netflix and Prime are there, but then Hotstar has their different, and they combine together, merge together, and kind of become the largest OTT platform in the country, right? And these are the benefits of that, right? Few other examples related to agri-tech is between Microsoft and Niti Aayog to mentor startups. Then PI Industries and CCamp has biocontrol tech related solutions tie up with each other to impact the farmers. Then ITC and Mankind Agri-Tech has done some startups, some coordination. These are some all 2025 and recent example. Tata Trust and NABARD came together to kind of join. You can fit in this in one of the type of the partners which you had mentioned. I'll take another 4 or 5 minutes probably, and then we can move to question and answer, right? So these are some general examples I had given, but in our case with the Gram IQ, we also work with a lot of partners to kind of for different reasons, right? So for example, Vadhwani AI is one of our technology partners where they build the technology, but they lack distributing it to the farmers. And we take their technologies to the end users farmer for which they are building the technology, right? The recent example is we are doing AI school for farmers across Vidarbha region, training 20,000 farmers all across in the different AI tools in collaboration with Vadhwani, Bharti Walmart and Google org. By taking these different AI tools, which is beneficial to the farmers to uplifting their farming income rate. Then we have another partner called HFN, Harvesting Farmers Network, for the execution. So they have some projects. We have execution capabilities in Gujarat, Maharashtra, some part of Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh as well, and Goa as well. They lack that capability. So they tied with us, kind of subletted their projects, right? Wherever we need their support in the north part of India, we take their help. Then we have an incubation partnership with Manage, IIT Ropar, IIT Kharagpur, where we get an mentorships and stuffs. Vanamati is an extension institute, just like Manage in Maharashtra, where we collaborated with them for a specific project where all the government schemes there in Maharashtra should be disseminated through a WhatsApp to the farmers, right? So they can ask any question related to any government schemes, and WhatsApp chatbot helps answering those queries, like what are the documents they need, what is the time duration, what is the subsidy, where can they apply for that schemes and all of that, right? The other technology partnership which we does is with WhatsApp or a Meta, where we are using their technology to build our solution, not just for us, for our clients as well. We work with a lot of agri input companies like Adama, Deepak Fertilizer, Dehat, Godrej Agrovate, and many others, and smaller startups as well, where we help them build the WhatsApp chatbot for their businesses via these partnerships. We are a reseller as well for them, and we are also a technology partners for them. So we use the WhatsApp technology, WhatsApp APIs for ourselves as well as for our clients. Then last is the YRA, again in rural entrepreneurship NGO, which helps them reaching out to more and more farmers for our different campaigns and the outreach we are doing, right? So yeah, so how does this help? It helps scaling faster, build the credibility in the ecosystem, have a technology backed or the technology in place, and reach to the maximum user base so that it impact to the maximum farmers, right? So that's how it helps these partnerships. So yeah, so that's all on the partnerships and collaborations from my side. If you guys have any questions, I can take that now or maybe end of the second speaker as well. And that's it. So as I mentioned, these are the types of partnerships or kind of partnerships we does in the past. If you are an active startup or an enterprise, those who are working in this domain, I'll be very happy to connect with you guys for a WhatsApp automations for your business, or maybe done any other collaboration where our technology can be helpful for you, right? My credentials are here. Happy to connect with all of you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sachin sir, for such an engaging session on collaborative advantage and Agri-Startups and corporate partnership. You clearly explained how strategic partnerships based on combined strengths and mutual growth can help Agri-Startups to scale faster and create the deeper farmer impact, and especially the different types of the partnerships, and including strategic alliances and go-to-market collaborations and technology licensing, and how label models works and impact commercial hybrids gave us deeper understanding how this works. Thank you once again for sharing your experience and showing how collaboration can become a powerful growth. So participants, if you have any questions regarding the session, you can keep in chat box, and also you can raise your hands. So the questions will be taken up after the second speaker presentation. So to introduce our second speaker, I would like to call our managed intern Ishika Gautam.
Thank you, ma'am. Hello, everyone. I'm Ishika Gautam from Team Managed CIA. It is my honor to introduce the next speaker, Mr. Tridibesh, an alumnus of the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, with over 30 years of professional and entrepreneurial experience spanning project management, strategic consulting, education, and agri-tech. Sir is the promoter director of Incube, a technology and project development company focused on social impact and the digital transformation of food, forestry value chains. Through B2B solution, Incube enables farm-level decision intelligence and validates nature-based carbon offsets. He is also a member of the International Trade Council USA, the London Chamber of Commerce UK, and the Agro and Food Processing Committees of the Associated Chambers of Commerce and Industry of India, Eastern Region, and the Bengal Chamber of Commerce. With his deep expertise at the intersection of agri-startups, corporates, technology, and sustainability, brings valuable insights on building effective partnerships that drive innovation, scale impact, and create shared value across the agricultural ecosystem. With this brief introduction of Sir, I would now like to hand over the session to him. Over to you, Sir.
Thank you, Ishika. I would request maybe
Yeah, we are
anyone,
sharing, sir. My team kindly
the
share.
screen, please.
We are sharing.
Okay, so hope my screen is visible now. So firstly, good morning to everyone. Thanks to Manage for inviting me, for sharing some of my thoughts, and special thanks to Manage for continuing and spearheading this initiative over few years in terms of series of webinars across various aspects of agri and food value chain. I have been participant in, I would say, 15-20% of the seminars which have happened so far on these, you can say, Saturday mornings, and most of them have been really, really value adding. So over the next 15-20 minutes, I will quickly try to share some of my ideas on this. Of course, there will be some overlap with what has been covered by Mr. Sachin. So maybe just go to the next slide. Yeah, so just to give a very quick 1-minute introduction of what we do, and then we come to the importance of partnerships and corporate relations. So Incube works in two areas. One is offer a technology platform in a B2B model towards farm decision intelligence, traceability of farm products, and also managing forestry value chains and carbon footprint tracking. And apart from the technology space, we are also working as, you can say, developer of a number of nature-based carbon offset projects, primarily related to agriculture and agroforestry. So this tech platform works as an enable for our projects, but the tech platform is offered separately as a standalone technology service to corporates in India and few other countries where we currently have our customers. So the next slide, please. So just to give an overall context, why collaboration matters in agriculture, it primarily comes from this complexity of the subject, the complexity of the value chain, and some of the inherent challenges that agriculture faces compared to maybe some other value chains where startups are working. It covers climate risk, a lot of vulnerability is there, gaps in productivity, and fragmented value chains, which creates an impediment towards creating the full value. Of course, on one side, the startups are looking at technological innovation across various parts of the value chain, but scaling up, accessing market, accessing capital remains a challenge to this agri startup ecosystem where the corporates have their inherent strengths to offer. So you can say that a right collaboration between a startup and a corporate can really bridge this gap. On one side, there is innovation, and one side, there is tool to take it to the market and create the right impact. So the right type of collaborations actually bridges the gap which remains between collaboration and creating, innovation and creating the right impact. The next slide, next slide. So who are the partners in this structure of partnership? On one side, there are agri startups who are mostly technology driven, maybe nimble footed, focus is on innovation, try to create, you can say, disruptions in the market, and trying to offer solutions building on AI, IoT, biotech, digital platforms, and climate solutions. So these are some of the areas where the startups are working. On the other side, there are corporates into large scale agriculture, food products, FMCG products, agri input products like, say, fertilizers, seeds, pesticides, agri equipments, and things like that, and agri finance, whether it is loan, insurance, and products. So these corporates, as we mentioned, mostly have established market presence, direct or indirect access to large farmer networks and supply chains, and generally the strength of money that they can also bring in on the table for a right partnership. The next slide. So when you're looking at a collaborative advantage, the basic objective is to bring in the complementary strengths. And actually, Mr. Sachin mentioned about when we are mostly bothered about competition, we sometimes what he called ignored the value of cooperation. And also there is a term called sort of, you can say, co-opetition, like you are actually collaborating with and generally perceived competitor, but create meaningful, you can say, value proposition. So the objective is to combine the complementary strengths on both sides. On one side, there are startups, on the other side, there are corporates in the farming space. Startups innovate fast because they are nimble, they don't have the bureaucracy, they have that hunger. Whereas the corporates can help to scale up fast because they have access to market, access to capital. So this really works pretty well. Of course, there are some challenges which we'll cover and also share some of the work that Incube has done in this space. So if you can really strike a right model of sharing of risk and sharing of reward, this works quite nicely. And at the end of the day, it really gives a faster pathway from pilots, or you can say prototypes, to commercial deployment. Now, this is the area where a large section of startups, and especially in the agri space, falter. And we see that they're not being able to scale primarily because this faster pathway is not something which they have been able to crack. The next slide. Key benefits that this partnership can offer to the agri startups. Of course, we have also been benefited, so I will share that a bit later. One is access to large customer bases, farmer networks. We all know access to farmers is always a challenge because they are far and few, small, marginal, spread across rural hinterland. They don't have generally access to the digital tools that we tend to use. So cost of reaching and acquisition of farmers sometimes becomes a huge barrier. Second is faster market entry, validation, because if you work with a group like Mahindra or you work with a group like ITC, automatically your solution becomes validated, and to get the next customer becomes far easier once you can demonstrate that your platform or your solution has been used by a reputed corporate house. And it actually derives at the next point, which is credibility and the brand trust. Fourth is capital infrastructure and mentoring support, because sometimes we see that the startups become so obsessed with their innovation or product that they sometimes lose the perspective of the larger ecosystem, its challenges, and things like that. So in some cases, seasoned corporates can bring that value into the overall planning. And the fifth one is opportunity to co-develop and refine products. Sometimes once you are successful in co-developing a product in partnering with a corporate, the issue of what you call white labeling comes up, which was again mentioned by Sachin, because they also want to have an ownership of that brand. So you create a separate white label brand, where your solution becomes a backbone, but the corporate helps to market. So you create a joint IP product with in partnership with the corporate. So the opportunity to co-develop and refine continuously. Next slide. Thank you. On the other side, is there anything that corporates gain? Because it has to be a win-win partnership, otherwise things will not sustain. Yes, the corporates also gain because they get access to really innovative and cutting-edge technologies, which sometimes becomes difficult within a large corporate environment, because the more the company grows in size, by default it becomes bureaucratic, and bureaucracy typically is not very conducive to nimble innovations. So sometimes the corporates can really lay hands on cutting edge technologies. Of course, the startups, because they are perennially short of money, they can really do some frugal innovation. So R&D costs and this innovation risk, you can do it at a much lower cost. So some of these inherent strengths that the corporates can derive out of good partnerships with startups, what you call ability to respond to sustainability and ESG goals, because a lot of solutions that the startups bring in can nicely tick into the overall sustainability and ESG master plan of the corporates, but they are not. We have seen, even talked to into large corporates, that they have an ESG strategy, they have ESG reports, but they struggle sometimes to how to implement, because these organizations don't always have the right innovation in place to offer to align to the sustainability and ESG goals. And the last one is you can really partner with the right startup to really create a competitive advantage by co-opting those solutions fast, and thereby create a lasting competitive advantage in the market. Sometimes we see acquisitions happening. So the companies start working initially, and when they see that there is a nice synergy happening, there is an alignment of vision, then the corporate sometimes acquire strategic stake in the startup, so that there is a more long-term value of enhanced competitiveness and, you can say, future proofing. Next slide, please. So this partnership can create value across the value chain. And when you talk about across the value chain, as we know that agri value chain has multiple areas. One is the input part, when we are looking at precision agriculture, basket of bio inputs, smart fertilizers. This is where the farming input market is there, then the on-farm activities like your advisory platforms, right analytics, sharing of data. Third is the harvest and post-harvest. So after the farming cycle, you look at procurement, storage, logistics, as well as traceability back to the farm. And then when we come to the market linkage part of it, so after post-harvest, either in a B2B form or in a B2C form, the product has to reach the market. So that's where the market linkage issue starts becoming very important, either through digital marketplaces or brick and mortar value chain integration, and the entire issue of quality assurance comes in this area. So partnerships can happen across the value chain, across these main 4 segments that we call it. So the next slide, please. So, and sometimes we see that these corporates offer innovation acceleration programs, so joint pilots, proof of concepts, co-creation of products based on the farmer needs that the corporates feel is required, faster loops from field to the lab as a feedback, because that becomes very important that you get continuous flow of feedback about how do you need to improve, because developing a prototype on a lab is something, and when you actually try to bring it on the field, the entire perspective changes. So your product needs to be nimble enough and continuously updated, or I would say fine-tuned to suit the ground level, you can say, requirements. And also scaling innovations across geographies, because startups, as you're mentioning, so we are based in Calcutta, but again, we have got a very good partnership in Pune, through which we are now serving about more than 120 farmer producer companies and 15 food product companies in Maharashtra, but that's happening purely through partnerships, because we initially didn't have that access. So we wanted to have this partnership relation with a group in Pune to access the market. And that has really worked very well for us. We have similar partnerships in Kenya. We have got similar partnership in Philippines. So things are working. So one innovation or one solution which we are building here, of course, our bandwidth is limited, so partnerships really help us to move across geographies. So the next slide, please. And we just touched on this area about the corporate's requirement. One is what is called climate smart solutions, reduction in usage of resources, water, fertilizer, energy. And so these are the sustainability and ESG impact which the corporates try to achieve, especially those who are in some part of the food value chain. But sometimes we see that they are lacking the innovative ideas about what to do. And that's where startups can really plug that gap and create very, very meaningful solutions in cooperation with the corporates. The challenge remains, do you lose your what you call business independence? Do you compromise on your growth? I would presume that it is not, because the market is so huge that you need these partnerships to reach. Startups won't be able to cater to the very large market with their own means. So partnerships really help to bridge the gap. You, of course, need to have a win-win relationship of sharing your upside and revenues and things like that. But I don't honestly feel that you are really compromising on your independence and growth opportunities, because we see that more startups fail not because of, I would say, surrendering the independence, but fail because they have not been able to scale and create the necessary critical mass of customers because they have tried to do it alone. So the next slide, please. And of course, as I was mentioning, the sharing of risk, because also you are small, you cannot handle all the risks of getting into the larger market. So shared investment in terms of pilot deployment, because it is jointly validated continuously, you de-risk your failure to a significant extent. Your time to market gets reduced, so you can really reach that minimum scale faster. And we have seen that with right partnerships, your capital allocation, which is a scarcity for almost all the startups, can get really optimized if you can balance the right type of risk and reward partnership with the corporates. Next slide, please. Common type of models. One is, of course, strategic partnerships. Second is you become part of the corporate accelerator or incubator, which the corporates are floating primarily to source good ideas and partner. Then there are pilot to scale agreements, multiple companies we see globally, India, Asia, Southeast Asia, that they try to create these pilot to scale agreements. Of course, once the relationship starts maturing, you create opportunities for equity investments and acquisitions, which is quite common. We see number of such cases where innovations in satellite imaging, IoT, larger corporates buy that business over, make it as a part of their overall offering, but the entrepreneurs can pursue that particular basket of services fairly independently. And then there are revenue sharing and licensing models. So there are multiple ways you can structure a partnership based on your vision and also the common vision of you and the corporate partner. Next slide, please. So just to quickly share some of the experiences that we have worked with one of the very large MNCs in the potato chip space. They have very large captive, what you called contract farming of potatoes. So our platform has been deployed there for farm intelligence as well as traceability of potato storage back to the farm. So this has worked really well, and it has scaled up now and helped us to fine tune our offering significantly. The second one, we have partnered with a very leading organic tea brand for traceability for their export market, working really well. Third one, we are currently partnering with one of the leading exporters of rice because we are into the carbon project. So now we are continuously incorporating the crop diversification in terms of the right type of rice varieties that the farmer will produce, because the market linkage is taken care of by the exporter. We are more focusing on the farming, efficiency of farming, sustainability of farming, so that the value chain becomes integrated. And we are now starting to move towards contract farming of corn in partnership with a very large ethanol production unit, because they need corn and we need corn cobs for our biochar project. So it becomes a very nice handholding that we can hopefully create. Again, the time will tell whether this last partnership will work, but the first three have worked so far successfully. The last one, we are just starting now. The next slide. So we'll finish off now. I think we'll just lead a bit of time for questions and answers. So the success factors, of course, all things are not that rosy. There will be challenges, but I think some of the success factors have to be alignment of goal, very defined roles of how do you protect each other's IP, ownership of data. When you're getting into partnership, how the joint IP can be structured, governance and communication, and a long-term commitment beyond pilots, because up to this pilot, both sides are spending money. So it is only when the pilots get into scale that you are looking at revenue flow. So that long-term commitment becomes very, very important. Next slide. And the challenges for work out for? Of course, there will be cultural differences because startups work in a different way, whereas a large size corporate have its own organization, structures, bureaucracies, and everything. So that sometimes create hindrances. Typically, the startups, good or bad, they take decisions very quickly because there is not much of a bureaucracy, whereas you sometimes feel frustrated when you work with large companies because they have multiple layers of decision making process. So that sometimes becomes a challenge. And of course, misalignment of expectations on scale and timelines, and data sharing and confidentiality concerns. So some of these challenges are critical to deal with very early so that you are fully aligned for a long-term goal. So I think I will end here. So just last slide. So I will just not repeat it. It has been mentioned a number of times. So it has to be win-win. It has to be collaborative. And we don't think it is optional anymore. It has to be strategic for any startup's growth journey to look at these rights partnerships. Yes. So I am basically available for any discussions offline. So just the next slide. So I've got these two QR codes. One is for my LinkedIn profile. Second is for my WhatsApp. So I'll be happy to connect anytime with any of the participants. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tridivesh sir, for the detailed presentation and then why collaboration is no longer optional but strategic in today's agricultural landscape, especially in addressing the challenges related to productivity gaps and fragmented value chain. And your explanation how startups bring innovation and while corporates bring scale, infrastructure, and market access was truly helpful. And thank you once again for sharing your experience with us. It's really a pleasure. And participants, if you have any questions regarding these two sessions, you can keep in chat box and also you can raise your hand so the questions will be taken up now. So I'll take up few questions in chat box. So there is a question from Bharat. Sir, at what stage should a startup look for corporate partnerships?
I think Sachin want to address that?
Yeah, absolutely. Bharatji, there is no stage you need and partners at all the stages. As I mentioned in my giving a context as well, why you need a partner, it comes out of the necessity, right? So for example, you are building a product, your product is in POC stage, but you need some problem statement validation, or is this problem really exist? There also you design partnerships with some of the corporate to understand what's exactly their problem, share some common challenges, right? So there is no stage as such. You need and partners, different partners of a different intention and objectives at a different stages, right? Even if you do not have anything, you are just pretending you want to do that. That's where also you can go and talk to partners and see how much interest they are having in something which you are proposing, right? That gives an validation, right? So as such, there is no stage. It comes out of necessity. Whenever you feel as a startup is you needed an helping hand to kind of multiply your strength with what you have already and what complementary the other person or other company can bring to the table. That's when you need an partners.
So just maybe add one point here. I think you, as a startup, of course, that solution or the innovation is all you have. So I think you should be reasonably confident that anybody trying to replicate that will take at least a year. So you have already created maybe a bit of a barrier to entry for somebody just to copy it and do it yourself. So you have to have that comfort in mind that, okay, I now know that, yeah, I have reached a stage where anybody else wants to copy that will need a reasonable lead time. So the partner should ideally partner with me and not try to copy. So in that way, I think don't go too early, but don't go too late as well. So I think you have to reach that right balance that you are reasonably confident that you can protect your IP and the partner will value your IP when you are going for a partnership.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And there is one more question from Mishka Gautam. From a corporate perspective, what makes an agri startup an attractive collaborative partner?
Yeah, I think say we are on the agri startup side. So when we have talked to the corporates, what we have seen is that they are looking for solutions in their overall value chain because they are too large. So they are not really solution driven. So they are more operations driven. So they are looking for innovation solutions, especially in optimization of logistics, using of AI, what you call IoT or other stuff to get better quality data so that they can prove to the external world that they are doing business in a sustainable way. So anybody in the agri space or logistics space, there is now a question mark on how sustainable your business is. So I think that's always in the back of the mind of any corporate that they need to reduce their carbon footprint in almost every stage of their value chain. So they are looking for innovations because they have to create the right, what you call, a perception in their larger ecosystem, whether they are stakeholders, if they are into a what you call a publicly listed company, they need to create those innovative, what you call, pitch in the larger market that they are sustainable, they are making business more and more sustainable and moving towards net zero. So they're looking for innovations continuously, and we are talking to many corporates on a regular basis. And I think if you can offer them the right innovation which can improve their overall business efficiency and sustainability, they will be interested. The next step becomes, how do you try to structure relationship, whether you are really looking for an win-win combination or not. We have seen a lot of opportunities fail because you are not really looking at win-win from both sides. You are trying to create a win-lose sort of a model. That doesn't work. So both have to, what you call, gain something and lose something. So that perspective becomes very, very important.
Sachin sir, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I guess pretty much everything covered by sir already. Just that key when we approach to a large enterprise, they usually look for a very structured, process-driven people. They do not kind of indulge into any college going or very crooked or kind of not serious enough kind of stuffs. So one also along with the you are solving something for them. Along with that, you should also have that professional approach towards approaching and towards working with them. Because even though you are a very good solution, but if they don't build an confidence in the team, in the processes or structure you are having in place, probably corporates kind of shy away from going and investing their time and energy and everything, because they have larger things to lose, right? As in startup, you probably may not have that much an impact, but something goes wrong that they have a very big stakes at the equity at the stake, right? So yeah, that's also one thing which we also need to consider while approaching to the large enterprises and corporates foreign partnerships.
Yeah. So at one point here, I have mentioned 4 examples where things worked, but there are 7 examples where things didn't work because really couldn't reach that right balance when you are looking at negotiation. So it's always a continuous process. Not all efforts will work, but I think you need to keep on trying.
So one question from Rohit Verma. What skills should MBA students develop to succeed in agri startups?
Okay. So so all MBA like management guys, right? One, I guess, being an taking pattern on myself because I am also a management student. So one should always learn how do you help others to achieve their goals, right? How you can play an enabling role, right? You can enabler for their processes, their objectives and stuffs, right? So if you are entering into business development, sales, marketing, you need to be good at it, right? Nobody wants to hire below average people, right? So skill set and mindset does matters. Both the things are very important. Whatever the area of your interest and career you had chosen in as a management student, but it is finance, operations, marketing, productions, any of these things, you need to be based out of it. You need to demonstrate those stuffs in smaller projects, internships in the past, so that you get a better expertise. But yeah, one thing is common is there is no kind of second thought on the skill sets. You need to have at par with everybody. You need to stand out from the crowd. Secondly, you need to be always into that enabler mode than the manager mode, right? Although we call it in management, we call it enablement, right? If you are in business development guy, you need to enable the company and the processes to get more and more business, right? So management comes really later. So that's a piece of kind of input from my side, what needs to be there, right? if your skill set and mindset is good, I guess that's enough, right? The rest of the things comes along. Yeah.
Siddhibesh sir, you want to say anything?
No, I think it has been actually perfectly covered by Sachin. Just keep it in mind that agri as a sector is challenging, primarily because of the fact that your end user, or you can say the last mile beneficiary, is typically on the other side of, you can say, digital divide. So you need patience, you need perseverance to really create the right solutions. Language becomes a barrier, culture becomes a barrier. So it's not an easy sector to work on, but of course, very, very large market. And particularly, even with, I think, I don't know how many agri startups are actively working in India, maybe more than 1,000. I, I, I don't think even 3 to 4% of the Indian farming community have ever accessed technology solutions. So
yeah, there are
it's
7,000 startups as per the ANY
yes,
report
yeah,
recently published.
yes, true.
And what assumption you are giving is also right. Not even a 5% or a 10% of the farmer reached. Most of these farmers target the same easy to crack geographies and area, but nobody thinks on the last mile where nobody is reaching, right? One, I guess, food for the thoughts from this platform also to be think upon, as in you guys being a student or an agripreneur. In the agriculture value chain, right, starting from farmer to the post-harvest inputs and all other companies till the product goes or the get processed and end consumer are eating it or having it, right? Everybody does get benefited except the farmer, right? So how do we kind of bridge that as well? We saw a lot of innovations coming in, a lot of technology, a lot of processes, business models coming in. I guess, but the farmers' situations are last 20, 30 years is being the almost same. I'm especially talking about small and medium-sized farmers, right? So why is that, right? That's a food for thought probably for everybody to really think upon and take it from here. As Sir said, how do we take to the larger audience, newer geographies, right? Rather than just innovating or solving for the same set of audience, right? How do we work for the farmer, those who are at the hilly region or some tribal regions, right? Or regions where the farmers are really at a distress. There are droughts, there are stuffs, right? Everybody talks about those 4 or 5 regions where horticulture is there, where paying capacity is better, but one also needs to think upon like how you build and innovate for the regions which is untouched even after so much technology and innovation out there.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So yeah, still few more questions are there, but we don't have much time. We need to conclude the session. So thank you, participants, for all your questions.
I guess there was
So,
one question related to carbon.
yeah, yes, sir. One question related to carbon with
Yeah,
rising from Subhashini. With rising focus on ESG and carbon markets, how can startups collaborate with corporates to ensure credibility and transparency?
probably Sir can answer that. I was also interested in knowing it, so I kind of
Yeah, so means there is no short answer to it, but I think this is an area where we can see the most opportunity of partnering, because there are carbon opportunities from improvement of farming practices like moving towards regenerative farming. There are carbon opportunities in processing agri waste. There are what you call carbon opportunities in what you call logistics. So of course we can talk offline on this, but I think this is where I would say the long term, and all of these projects are very long term in nature. What you call carbon projects typically will have a life cycle of 10 to 15 years at least. So I think areas like biochar, areas like what you call regenerative farming, areas like paddy farming, which is we use things like alternative wetting and drying and DSR and other type of interventions. I think that this space will become very exciting in the next couple of years in India. So a lot of opportunities. Happy to connect offline and actually discuss, because this is a different subject altogether. It needs a bit more, you can say, I would say, deliberation to understand whether it can add value to the corporates and where the startups can play a role. But I can just tell you that this will possibly become the biggest pie in terms of corporate and startup partnerships in years to come.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you and participants. So still, if you have any questions, you can contact the speakers. The speaker contact details are given in the chat box. If any doubt is there, you can contact them. They are going to help you. And if you missed any part of today's webinar, and if you want to watch this webinar again, the YouTube link to watch the full session is also given in the chat box. You can watch it. And to receive interesting updates and exciting opportunities from the Managed Incubation Center, you can follow us on our social media handles. And along with this, since we have launched the new incubation center called Managed Fishery Innovation Startup Hub, so through this incubation center, we are offering many programs for budding entrepreneurs. So the details of these programs you can check through the website. And before concluding the session, I would like to thank both Sachin sir and Tridibes sir for your excellent presentation. It's really our pleasure to have you here, sir. And also, I would like to thank our director, Dr. Sarvanandra sir, for organizing this webinar. And also, I would like to thank entire Managecia team for their efforts in organizing today's webinar so seamlessly. And don't forget to give the feedback of this webinar. The feedback link is given in the chat box. And also, do register for the upcoming webinar. And thank you once again, all. Thank you, Sachin sir and Tridibes sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.